Welcome to episode 2 of Hoopla, featuring your boy Rel. I'm joined with a very special guest, one of Franklin Pierce's very own fellow Raven, former pro player. Right now, one of the best, if not the best, basketball trainer in New England, Pierre Sully. What's good, Pierre?
What's good, bro? Appreciate you having me, man. Appreciate you having me.
Of course, I had to get you on. Once I came upon and got the podcast going. So, Pierre,
man.
I always like to start off like just tell us a little bit about yourself, like your background, where you've been playing, what you're doing now.
Background about myself, like you said, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, by way of Jamaica Plain. Attended high school, private school, North Cambridge Catholic. From there, went to junior college. Played junior college ball, was an All-American at Roxbury Community College. Shout out to my Tigers. From there, I had an interesting journey that landed me at FP. So from RCC, I committed to Northeastern University, and after kind of going through the process of academics, they found out that I was 10 credits short. So that semester I spent at Northeastern as a redshirt. Got a little frustrated, so I ended up losing out the year. And during my recruitment process, Franklin Pierce was one of the schools that was recruiting me. And Coach Chadbourne, he offered me. And I was like, hey, Chad, I'm going to go. My dream was to play a Division I basketball. So I was like, I'm going to go there. And after that, I called, shout out to Frank Martin, coach of South Carolina. When he found out that I wasn't going to be eligible, he kind of took it upon himself to help me find another school. So Coach Frank actually reached out to Coach Chadbourne as well and kind of gave me, his word, I guess a word of recommendation. And from there, I end up going to Pierce right after that. So it was the best decision for me. Going from a big university to a small, college, more private, setting. So that helped me out at that point in time where I was at. So, like I said, from FP, I went 2.5 years, had a solid career there. Should have been a lot better, but that's here nor there. We had, 2 good years. And after that, I ended up playing professional basketball for a couple of years and then came back. I stopped playing because I actually developed blood clots in my lungs and my legs. So that kind of cut my career short for 2 years. It's crazy. My year that I had the blood clots, I was supposed to go play third division Germany.
Okay.
So I was looking forward to that because, I wanted to be in actual Europe.
Yeah.
Not to say England is not Europe and all the other places, but Singapore or anything. But, Germany was somewhere that a lot of my friends played at and told me it was a great spot for an American. And, I turned down a lot of places. I was supposed to go play in Qatar and Dubai. And I was like, nah, I want to go somewhere where I'd kind of familiar with. So Germany was one of the places I was supposed to go to. And then, lo and behold, I had blood clots and stopped me from right there and there.
Okay. So, obviously I played in Germany as well. So for me, it was kind of the same. It was like, I got offers from like other places like South Africa, like Argentina at the time. And I was like, nah, I want to play Europe, I want to play in Europe. So that was the thing. But you played in Germany. So, you played in England. So like, how was that experience playing in England? I know England I don't know if people understand like different countries have different levels, the way that they're looked at as far as basketball. But how was it like living in England and all that?
In England, man, to be honest, like, we all grew up like, you're Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, Brooklyn. Growing up in the city, shout out Brooklyn. But like, growing up in the city, in the inner city, it's like when we see England, we thinking tea and crumpets and the Queen of England, Buckingham Palace. Yeah. But when I got out there, I was like, yo, it's crazy. Like, buildings, some buildings look like, it will still look like World War II out there. The condemned buildings and things like that. And then, you drive a little bit, you start to see nothing but land, and it was so beautiful. And like coming from where we come from, like look where basketball took us. Yeah. So like when I got off that plane, and I'll never forget it, when we're landing and I'm looking at all the green, and I'm like, man, I've never seen that before. and then we're driving, and it's just completely flat. You can see miles ahead, and then all of a sudden you start to see like these little villages that were, ran down from the war and things like that, and then you start to get into the city, and then you see all this beautiful like architecture. And I love history, so when I look at that stuff, I'm like, I'm taking pictures like a tourist. So you know how it is. We're out there, we snapping away, and then we get bored, and then we start to really indulge it. But England for me was a great situation. I love the city and the town that I played for in Middlesbrough, which is 3 hours north of London. Shout out to my people in the Middlesbrough area. I love that group. And for me, like I said, it was just an awesome experience, man. It really had me like, damn, there's a whole nother world with millions of people besides what we're accustomed to. Yeah. It just made me look at the world in a completely different perspective. But hoop out there, guys were tough. Guys played hard. I think it was the first time actually it was the second time, because in college we had a couple Europeans on our team. Shout out to Big Tom, Nas, Remus, those guys, man.
Shout out to Remus.
I never forget. Yeah, Remus was a freshman, right? And I forgot what we were doing one night, and he's smoking a cig, and I'm like, yo, man, like, what are you doing? Weed is different because we get it. We're like, weed is different. So we're like, you smoke some weeds, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll go hoop. He's smoking a cig, so we're outside. We're at Lakeview, and I'm like, yo, Remus, come on. And all the guys, I love all my younger guys. They all respected me. He was like, yo, Pierre, man, my brother, like, chill. You know how Remus is.
Yeah.
He's like, yo. And I'm like, yo, Remus, come on, man, put that away. And he did. When I got to Europe, I'll never forget. We took a 2-hour bus ride, and I forgot what city we were in. I think we might have been like in Wales or something like that. We were in Cardiff. And the guy, they're forward, they're big, is outside. I see them put out 2 of them.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, I'm about to run circles around these guys. They have no idea what they're about to get into. And I never forget, my coach was like,
that's regular.
Pierre, respect all your opponents. Respect all your opponents. I'm like, man, what? I just seen this dude smoke a cig. I'm about to kill him. Man, when I tell you this dude had all the energy in the world, I didn't understand like how he did it. We end up winning, but he went crazy. And I said to him after the game, I said, yo, how did you just I just watched you smoke 2 cigarettes. And then after the game, we're outside talking, he's smoking another one. He's like, man, I've been doing this since I was 15 years old. And that's the thing that Remus said too.
Yeah, Remus.
And Tom, those guys, like they were accustomed to being an adult at a young age.
Yeah.
So it gave me a respect for them on that level. But like I said, that experience playing in there, it felt like Europe. It felt like America a little bit, but didn't feel like America.
Yeah.
I kind of dove into their culture as well, like their foods, their styles, their customs. You know what I mean? Like I did all of that. I really enjoyed everything, every moment about it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I was roommates with Remus for 1 year, my sophomore year, and I learned a lot from Remus, like just about like non-American culture, because he was the only one that first person I met that I was actually around that wasn't American, that like I would actually live, like that I was around a lot. Right? So, I mean, I have people that friends that weren't born here, but they grew up here. It's like he literally was only been here for like 4 years before. So, I mean, and for me, like what you were saying about like when you landed, like I always remember when I first landed in Germany, because it was like, one, I didn't know obviously anyone there. So, and the person that was picking me up wasn't like the coach. He was just like someone that was associated with the team, like he but shout out to Gunnar, but he also was a cop, like in Germany. So he picks me up from the airport, and like the town is, I think, probably like 2 hours. It's pretty far, like 2-hour drive. And
those drives me crazy.
We're on the Autobahn, so I've like always heard of that, heard of the Autobahn, like no speed limit type shit. So like I'm like, oh, this is it, like, and it's really like like you're going like 80, and they're like, if you're driving like the way it was, like you have a slow lane now, like you have a slow lane, and then like even here, like you have a slow lane and you have like a fast lane, like you all the way to the left of the fast lane. So they're driving like 90. So they'll drive, if you're driving like, let's say you're driving like 85 or 90, they would go right up to your bumper so you could go over to the slow lane. And like they keep doing it for like an hour, like going 95, like going right behind someone. And they go into the next lane, like. And I was like, nah, I'm not ready for this. Like that's totally different.
You know, it's crazy you said that, because I remember they gave me a car. I had a Volkswagen. It was a Jetta. I'll never forget. I had a Jetta. It was red. It was a nice car. And I'm driving, and like you said, there's no speed limit. And you know us, like our mentality is like, we're looking to see the signs, to see that white sign with the red around it and number in between. We're looking for that, and I'm not seeing it. So I'm sitting there like, and for me, the owner of the team picked me up, which was crazy. He was an American, rest in peace, Tony Hansen. I miss you. I love you, Tony. But like, he picked me up, and he was very hands-on. That's the thing that I loved about him. And he's from Connecticut, played at UConn. He was an all-time leading scorer there until Richard Hamilton and I think Charles Smith broke his record. But and he's driving, and he drove in a slow lane. He's a cool, laid-back Jamaican, just like listen to the Bob Marley, listen to his Rasta music. He's just like cruising. And then as I'm looking on the other side, remember, I don't know what Germany is on the other side of the road. It's the same side as us.
Yeah, same side.
England, and in England, the other side. Opposite.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when I got into the car, I got on his side. He's like, "Yo, you gonna drive?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh shoot, my bad." I go on the other side. I'm watching cars as we're driving get wrapped around poles. And he's just like, "Yeah, we got your car. Do you know how to drive stick?" And I looked at it and I said, "I'm all set. I'll take just give me a bus schedule." Yeah. Straight up. I was like, "Yo, I'm not driving." Every game we went to, I always saw a car wrapped around a pole, some car leaning on the side of a ditch, flipped over, smoking. I'm like, "Yo, I used to take the bus everywhere when I was overseas."
Yeah.
I kept that city vibe with me too.
No, I mean, for me, I was in a real small town, but like everyone drove stick, so I didn't drive there because I was barely driving, period. But I never drove stick there, so everybody has sticks, so I didn't drive there. But our town was so small that we could walk everywhere. So I could walk from my place to where we played. I mean, usually somebody will come pick me up, but like I could walk to McDonald's, the grocery store, everything was like within like at least 25-minute walk. So yeah, I was just walking everywhere, even in winter.
Yeah.
So after you came back from overseas, like what did you go right into, like the training, or did you do like other?
Nah, man. After I came back from overseas, a friend of mine from high school, she ran a youth center in Cambridge, and it was summertime. It was going into the summer, and I was like, you know what, I'll just get a job, just to do a little summer job for the summer, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do in the fall. So that summer I worked in Cambridge at a sports camp, and then actually went to a conference. One of my mentors that I did an internship at Northeastern called Sports and Society, MVP, he was doing a conference at the University of Central Florida that summer. And he's like, "Yo, you should come down, come get trained, and come meet some people." And I was like, "All right." So I flew down to Orlando. I was there for like 3 days, and we did this conference. And I end up getting an interview from Justin Miller, who was head of the College Student Affairs at the University of South Florida. So I'm in Orlando. I'm thinking I'm just having a casual conversation with a guy, and it turns out this guy was head of our program, and he worked at athletics. He was the director of athletics for for the grad assistants. So he's like, "You should come to grad school." I'm like, "Man, I ain't going to grad school. I'm all set." He's like, "No, you should come to grad school." And he was like, "You'll be good." And I was like, "All right." So I went in July. I told him I was coming in September. So I went in August. And then in September, I decided to go. So within like 3 weeks, I was living in Tampa, going to the University of South Florida, doing grad school. And I was working with the men's and women's basketball team. Shout out to Stan Heath and Coach Fernandez, the men's and women's coach. Stan Heath was a men's coach at that time, and Fernandez is still the women's coach now. I was a GA, and then I was a GA for football as well. So I had 3 different roles. And I was an academic coach for like 30 freshmen football players and some sophomores, and then the freshman basketball players. So I had about 45 to 50 students that I was responsible for, like, helping them get adjusted to their college life, helping them get adjusted to academics and stuff like that. So it was a great situation. And, within that time, I felt my passion, man. Like, I had just finished playing. I was still able to kind of, be out there on the court. And one day we were at practice, and Coach Fernandez was like, "Hey, Sully, can you get on the court?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll get on the court." And I'm out there, and I'm playing because at Division One, that's the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
They hire men to come play practice players for their women's team. Yeah, I didn't know that, so I'm like, I'm gonna play against the girls. They're like, yeah, so I'm playing with the girls. They over here elbowing me. I'm like, whoa. And I just, in my mind, we're athletes. It just clicked, and I just started spazzing. And he was just like, he pulled me aside. He's like, yo, what are you doing? And he was just like, you should be playing. He told me I should go play for the men's side. He's like, go play. What are you doing here? And I was like, nah, I'm all set. Like, they always thought the joke was for me. It was like, yo, you sure you ain't got no eligibility? Like the men's coach would say that. They're like, sure you ain't got no eligibility? I was like, nah, I'm dead. I ain't got no eligibility. But like I said, I was a GA for both programs. I really enjoyed it. And within that time, like I said, I started developing a passion because I was there with them day to day on the road, study hall, things like that. I was with them. I was with the coaches, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to coach. I think I really want to coach. I think I want to focus on one thing. I think I don't want to, no disrespect to football. JPP, Super Bowl champ, my guy, Tampa Bay. He was one of my guys too. That I was an academic coach for. Great dude. But yeah, I just wanted to do basketball. So with the program, the grad program that I was in, I had to split time. So it was tough for me to be 100% basketball and then have my academic responsibilities within my program. So it was just kind of a conflict. They were really trying to work on it. And I'm like, I just decided to stay and do what I did. And then, I wanted to get into the coaching thing. I decided to come home. I went to coach at Lesley University for about 4 years. I coached at Lesley. And I went back to working in Cambridge. I ran a youth center. I was a team director as well. And I started getting into the whole basketball thing. Not really training yet. Still not training. Yeah. But I was just, helping the neighborhood kids. But I was doing the coaching thing. Not really on the court teaching them stuff. And then, in the midst of it, I was helping the kids in the city, in the community, get some one-on-one skill, and I would run like little groups and stuff like that, but still not on the level that I'm doing. I never looked at it and said I want to be a trainer. I was just coaching. And that's kind of how that started. And then I started working with athletes that would come home for the summer or would be on winter break, and I would have them come to my youth center. We had a basketball court upstairs, and, I'll put them through some drills, and then, we'll play pickup and things like that. And still wasn't thinking myself as a trainer. I was just like, I'm a coach. Yeah. So when I stopped coaching, I took time off, and then I started getting into a little bit of personal training and still doing basketball stuff on the side, but still wasn't calling myself a basketball trainer. I was just like, I consider myself to just be helping. I consider myself more of a personal trainer than I did as a skills coach. Yeah. So I focused on that, and then the basketball was picking up more than the personal training side. So then the more basketball I was doing, the less personal training I was doing. So I was gaining more clientele. And then I kind of just made that shift over to just doing training full time. And, it kind of took off from there. So I started working with a lot of the local athletes, professional, high school athletes. My first taste of it was when I was working with Shabazz Napier, when the summer before senior year, I worked with him that summer. Whenever I was in Connecticut, I worked with him. Yeah. He'll call me, be like, yo, are you in Connecticut? And I'd be like, yeah. He'd be like, yo, let's get in the gym. We'd be at 10 o'clock at night in the gym working out for the weekend. And then I'll go home, and he'll be like, hey, you coming down again? And I'd be like, yeah, I'll come down, and I'll come shoot down there, and I'll get with him. So when he got drafted, I actually got a chance to work with him after he was drafted. Before he's getting ready to go to, I want to say Summer League or training camp. No, it was training camp. No, Summer League. Getting ready to go to training camp. Summer League, excuse me. And we worked together. So he was my first pro, and then, we put a video out. I didn't want to personally, but my cousin at the time was like, my partner now was like, yo, you should just do a video. Ask him. And I wasn't about exploiting athletes. I'm not big on that. Yeah. And I asked him. It was a very uncomfortable conversation too. I'm like, yo, do you mind if, my cousin records? And he's like, man, do what you got to do. He's like, is this going to help you? I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, if it helps you, I'm with it 100%. So we put the video out, and that thing took off like wildfire, like literally took off. and I still didn't understand the magnitude of what that video did for me. But kind of put me in that realm because Shabazz is, he's Boston royalty when it comes to the hoop. 2-time champ.
Yeah.
Just got drafted. So it was one of those situations where people saw that video and was like, phones start going off more. People start requesting and things like that. So Shabazz was the one that kind of got the party started for me.
That's it. And I mean, you worked with a lot. Well, I would say that you worked with all of, if not most of the top players in Boston or Massachusetts, just in general, over the last 10 years. So what do you think, like, the state of Massachusetts basketball, like, how do you think it's changed from when we were playing, was that 15, 20 years ago, for example, compared to what it is now?
So state of Massachusetts basketball is in a great position. It's in a very good, from the girls' side, especially from the girls' side, and the boys' side. I think a lot of the stuff when I was coming up was our grades. Academics wasn't a huge focus for us coming up. You know what I'm saying? So even in my walk, in my journey in hoops, if somebody asked me, was like, if you can go back and change one thing, I said I would focus more on my academics. Because that opens up so many doors. Forget the talent. Talent, you're always going to get a chance because you're talented.
Yeah.
Academics you're gonna knock these doors down and still be talented in order to get whatever you need to get because you have something to fall back. Nowadays, these kids are more focused on their academics than they are before. They're still talented. They're working hard. They're doing all those things, but it's the academic piece that changed it. And from the women's side, it's the same thing. The girls, the ladies are focusing on their academics as well. Even in my journey, like I decided to coach women's basketball at Emmanuel College because I wanted to learn how to be a better coach and a better trainer.
Yeah. And
I coached there for 3 years. And, I recruited in the city as well. And I try to get some girls from the city to come. But once again, when you talk about private schools, it's money. You know what I mean? So who am I to tell a young lady that can go to any other scholarship school or Division III school and get a lot of aid to come pay a lot of money to come to Emmanuel as much as I wanted to. So when you talk about the state of basketball and the landscape of basketball in Massachusetts, we're at a great space. We have a lot of professionals that are we have a lot of kids that are going to be pros in the NBA and overseas right now coming out of Massachusetts. And, God rest his soul, Terrence was going to be one of them as well, Terrence Clark. So, kind of seeing what he did for Boston in that sense of being on Ball is Life, being on Slam, being on Bleacher Report, being on every basketball outlet, media outlet, that kid put a light on Boston because now people want to see who's the next Terrence Clark, who's going to be the next thing coming out of Boston. So, he did a lot for the city. And he was a kid that, another one, academics too. Academics is a big focus for him. He worked hard to get to Kentucky. I give him that a lot. And I remember talking to him and saying, like, I gotta lock in. He reclassified so he can, enroll in Kentucky, quote unquote, a year early than his class. But, so like I said, a lot of these kids are doing that. Name to guy, throw my little boy out there, Desante Bowen, kid who's book smart and he's got all the game and all the tangibles to become a very solid professional basketball player at the highest level. Talking about NBA. I'm not talking overseas or anything like that. I'm talking NBA talent. And we have a lot of kids like him as well that are going to be pros.
Yeah, that's dope.
So like I said, the state of basketball is great.
Yeah, you can see it even just throughout the NBA, how many players in the last 10 years have come through. It's a lot. And also I think I seen you work with Baisley too, but he's not from Massachusetts though. But
he is from Massachusetts.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, Baisley is one of ours, man. Like Bays was born here. He was born in Brockton. He's from Brockton, which is 20 minutes outside of Boston. He moved to Cincinnati when he was, I want to say, in middle school, and then he did up until this point. He's from Brockton originally, so he's one of the Mass guys, and even him, like, I'm gonna claim him. He's from Boston.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's from Mass. He's one of our guys, but no.
When you worked with him, it It was when he did the internship with New Balance. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So exactly, like even with that whole situation, you know, once again, I'll tell people if you're prepared, just make sure you're prepared for whatever comes to your way. And I think when that whole situation happened with Baisley, I had thought about it. I mean, man, it would be kind of cool to work with that kid because he's gonna have to train. I mean, we saw all the interviews, we seen all the clippings and everything. So I'm like, it's gonna be kind of cool to work with that kid. It's gonna be dope. And then all of a sudden, I get a phone call, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're more than ready. My team is more than ready to do it. So 3.5 months, man. Me and Bays got after it. He's by far the most mature kid I've ever been around.
Mm.
The most mature. He was 18. Yeah, 18. Yep, the most mature 18-year-old I've ever been around. He's got an old soul. He knows any kid that does that, and that was his choice. Everybody thinks like he was pressured into doing it. He first of all, he lined himself with a great agency, in Clutch, to be able to do something like that. And then on top of that, he made the choice. He's like, yo, I'm not going to school. I'm going to the G League.
Yeah.
Then it's like, do I want to be in the G League? How much money am I getting in the G League?
Yeah.
Now let's figure out something else. Now they throw in an internship. So I get $1 million. I get to sign an endorsement, and I'm going to get drafted. I am he was a lottery talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But obviously, the reasons why he fell that low, because they didn't see it for a year. He ain't got no film.
Yeah, he hasn't any tape or anything, yeah.
Exactly. So now you see what he does and what he can become. He is extremely skilled. His physically his measurables and everything. He's going to be like, you see how AD's body looks like?
Yeah.
Bays is going to look like him at some point, and you're seeing it now.
Yeah.
You're seeing him starting to get into that NBA body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is crazy. So
yeah. I mean, I seen them. I mean, the growth that he's had so far, and he's still pretty young. I mean, really young in the league. He still has a lot of time left too.
Yeah.
So
just
I mean,
as far as man.
Damn, that's crazy. So as far as like you going into the training, I mean, you said that it came from like you being a coach first, and then getting into the training. But was there a point where you were like, this is going to be it for me? Like, this is something that I'm gonna build into, or was it just like always just like I want to be a coach, but this is for right now. This is like the thing that's where people are gravitating to the most.
And it's funny you said like the gravitation part. I never realized when I started training, I never realized how many people were training. When I wasn't training, I didn't think there were any trainers. The only trainers I knew was my OGs. I didn't know such and such was doing it. I didn't know such and such was doing it.
Yeah.
As soon as I was thrown into that training world, now I'm like, damn, everybody named Mama's a trainer.
Yeah.
And then it's like, of course, it's like you got to check facts. You got to check resumes. You got to do all of that. Is this a guy equipped to do that? Is this guy equipped to do that? Is this guy equipped to do that? But, to each his own. But for me, like I said, I never really was coming into this to be a trainer. As a coaching part, I wanted to do coaching. I really did. I wanted to do coaching. But what I wanted to, as I was training and I was developing, I'm like, man, there's so many restrictions we can't do.
Yeah.
We can't be with the players all the time. We can't be on the court all the time. And at Leslie, we didn't have a facility. So we were using a prep school's facility. So lo and behold, I run a youth center and we have a gym. So extra work, they would come to me off campus to get in that extra training. So I figured out a way to do that. And then as I was going through that whole situation, I'm like, damn, I can't work with this player now. Like, this is a violation. This is this is that. I'm like, yo, this sucks. I'd rather do it myself. And when I started doing it myself, I found a lot of freedom and a lot of power in what I did. And I'll never forget, one of my young bulls, Ikenna Dugba, I would say his last name, right? But my young boy, Ikenna, right now he's with the Greensboro Swarm in the G League. He said to me, he was like, yo, I said to him, I think I was talking about coaching. And he's like, yo, you don't want to coach. And I was like, why you say that? He was like, you don't want to coach at Division I level, because I wanted to do it. And he was like, the way you are, he said, you couldn't do it because you want to be on the court all the time and there's too many rules and restrictions.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I was like, And he's young. His kid is like a old, same thing as Bays, a young old soul that knows everything. And I looked at him, I was like, yo, you're right. Like he's 100% right. And that's why I never really pursued the next level coaching like that. You know what I mean? Because when I fell in love with the coaching, I did. And then when I fell in love with the training, I realized how many restrictions that I had when I was coaching versus what the unlimited time that I have with each athlete. And I could work at anybody and them whoever I want. As a men's coach, we're not allowed to coach kids because they're recruitable athletes.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I learned that being around the girls, because I had a couple of my girls went to URI, one went to South Carolina, one went to Florida State. And I remember bringing them into the gym, and the athletic director was like, yo, you can't train these girls because they're recruitable athletes. I said to her, look at those three. We have no chance in no one's lifetime to get those three girls. So I've been, like, two of them I've been with for a long time. The other one they're kind of like a package deal. I've always been around her as well. But like, if I'm working with one, I have the other. If I work with three of them, they're always together. And I'm like, you guys, we're not going to get these girls. And I was like, these two are practically family to me, and this one is too. So I was like, it's not happening. You know, I kind of put my foot down in that sense. I was like, I've been working with them since they were in high school. I'm not going to stop working with them because you think they're going to come to Emmanuel. I'm like, it's not happening. But thank you for telling me that, because now I know in the future. But yes. So like I said, the limitations of what coaching in college kind of led me to really focusing on really just staying in my lane. Like, this is where I could work with whomever I want, whenever I want, for as long as I want. And that's what I decided to do.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like that. I mean, it's kind of like that for me too. Like, at first I thought about getting into the coaching too as well. Like, and I was like, for me, the difference for me, it was, my thing is, I understood what, like, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about Coach Chadbourne, like the stuff that he had to deal with, like outside of basketball, like the outside of basketball stuff. And it's like, to be a coach, you have to mentally be like a father figure, you know, to people. Yep. So it's like, and for me, I love training athletes, but I love the part of seeing them go from one point to next, you know, that aspect of it. So that's what got me more into like the strength and conditioning part of it, because I could see, like, when he came here a month ago, he was running this speed, and then now he's running, you know, something measurable. Whereas like a coach is like I remember, I mean, Coach Chadbourne, he would be getting calls at 11. If we did something wrong, he's getting calls at 11, 12, and 12 at night. Like, yo, your guys are wilding. Like, like, that's, I always thought about that. Like, yo, I couldn't do that. Like, so like, as much as I love being around like athletes, and like, you know, I've trained high school and kids, adults, and it's like, I like being around, you know, individuals, but to be a coach is like, it's so much more than what people think. It's way more than just recruiting and X's and O's. Like, it's a lot to that shit.
Yeah, and it's tough, man. Like you said, just these stories, like coach getting calls at this time, you got to deal with grades and you got to help this, man. Like, and that's the time that I was at South Florida. It showed me a lot of what these academic people were doing for us.
Yeah.
Not knowing the hoops and things that they're going through. I was the one that was kind of reporting. I was the middleman from the teacher to the director of athletics for whatever, their athletic advisor. It was a teacher, me, academic advisor, and then the athletic director for our program. So I was seeing a lot. I was sitting in meetings like, Jesus Christ, like watching the coaches getting yelled at by academic advisors. Like, yo, y'all over here bugging.
Yeah.
Like, y'all think you just because you got 3 road games, he's not going to do his work. And I'm sitting there like, bro, you're wilding. My guy, Dominique Jones. Dominique was drafted by the Mavericks the year they won the championship. Dominique was a motherfucker, if I can swear, excuse my name, but he was a mother. So like, and that's my guy. But I used to go through hell with him because Neek used to be like, yo, P, I'm going to the league, bro. Fuck you think I'm about to do this for? I said, because you got to do it to stay on the court. He's be like, yo, these teachers going to pass me. And I'm like, I'm a hooper, so I know exactly what he's thinking. So I'm like, I feel it, Neek, but Come on, man. And then I'm watching, Coach Heath and Miss Murtis. That was her name. That was our academic advisor, Miss Murtis and Coach Heath. She used to be like, "Yo, Keith, get down here now." I'm sitting there like, "Yo, you talking to Stan Heath like this?"
Yeah.
And then she's saying her 1-2, he's saying his 1-2, and then I was like, "There's really a respect factor between the two of them."
Yeah.
So she understands he needs his player. She understands I know you need your player, but I need your player to know he needs to do
He
this.
still has to
And
do
it
it.
sucks
Yeah.
because exactly. Sometimes you ask them for the bare minimum in order to do what they're doing. But once again, who are you going to tell that's going to be an NBA lottery pick or a potential lottery pick not to do something? And that's when I learned it was a business. Even with the football side. The football side was crazy. George Selvey, All-American defensive tackle, very mature. What am I supposed to be like? Yo, George, you ain't go to study hall, bro. What's his name? My man Murph. He's from New Jersey. He's from Hamden, as a matter of fact. He's from Elizabeth, New Jersey. I forgot his first name, Murphy. His last name is Murphy. Jerome Murphy. He skipped study hall every single night. And I'm like, man, I got to find this kid. So I go to his class. He's not in there. I'm like, where the hell does this dude at? I go to the weight room. He's in the weight room. So I was like, I'm going to pull up on him. I'm like, yo, Murph, man, like, what's good, bro? You got to come to study hall. He's like, all right, I got you, bro. I got you. Comes to study hall. He's in study hall doing absolutely nothing. And I'm like, yo, Murph, man, you got all, I'm showing him his, I was like, yo, bro, you got all this work that you got to do. And he's like, man, I ain't fucking doing that shit. I'm about to go to the league. I'm like, what? And, up from us, where we're from, football's not that big.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's different.
I feel like when you go from Philadelphia, from Pennsylvania down, it means something.
Yeah.
And he was like, I talked to Murtis. Oh, I forgot who I was talking. Brooke was the academic advisor for football. I talked to Brooke. She brought in the receiver coach. The defensive back coach came and was like, come on, man. He was like, yo, I'm out. I was like, yo, Murph, you can't. He leaves. And I talked to the lady. She's just like, yo, this is what you're going to deal with. So be ready. Like, it's a business. And she said that. She was like, it's a business. We just got to be ready for, you got to understand. So there's tiers of it. And that's when I understood, like, how much sports and money made sense, because South Florida was grossing $38 million a year from football too. Just probably more or less from football. And I'm like, I'm thinking it's like Division II, Division III, or like, low Division I money. This is real money. This is Big East money at that time.
So imagine the Alabamas and the Texas and all of them. They're making triple.
We talking $38 million for South Florida. That's not even talking about Bama's, Florida States, the Texases, the USCs, like all these blue blood football schools are making. But like I said, that's when I learned the business side of it, and it helped me. It helped me understand, like, if I prepare these kids for the business, then they'll be good. I'll have the knowledge. Why not share the knowledge with them?
Yeah.
And that was like the big thing that that's the lesson that I took with me when I left South Florida.
Yeah. I think that's the thing too. As far as a lot of people, obviously when we grew up, when you're playing the game of basketball, you're not thinking of the business aspect of it. But being an adult now, it's so many people getting paid off the game of basketball, not just colleges, not just teams, like even us, individuals like us, like the things like, people, trainers and strength and conditioning coaches, things like that. So it's like there's so much within the game of basketball that a lot of people don't really think about, especially even from the game standpoint. Like we played overseas, so a lot, like growing up, everything was NBA, but a lot of people didn't really understand like how overseas worked and that there's thousands of Americans playing overseas. And then once you get there, what I didn't really understand until I got to college, and then because we had people like you and Jimmy and like that played overseas, so I kind of understood like it's just not, my thought of overseas was just like, if you just miss out on the NBA, then you go overseas, like that type of thing. Not understanding that there's so many players, like you could go to a place like Germany,
so many leagues,
5 leagues with Americans.
Man.
Like, so it's like a lot of people don't really understand that until, I didn't get it until like maybe like my junior year of Franklin Pierce, but some people don't even, I've spoken to players that graduating, they still don't understand like how it works. And it's, I mean, I think that part of it is a lot more to basketball than just the league. It's so much more to it.
Exactly. When you understand where you're at, athletically, it becomes, your mind changes. So like for me, like I my goal was to get a scholarship Division 1. I got up at 6:30 a.m. I had practice at 7, went to class, came back and shot around, did a 6 o'clock workout, and would do a 5 o'clock workout, and then go play at 6:30 until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and then wake up and do the same thing. Like that was my hustle. When I got to Pierce, I was like, yo, I gotta graduate. I was still thinking hoop, but I know the door is narrowed a little bit because now I'm playing Division 2 basketball. So I got to be phenomenal. And my OG said that. Shout out to Claude Pritchett. He said that to me. He was like, you got to be phenomenal. I had a great junior college career. And he was like, with that, it helps you out a lot. It opens up doors. But he was like, but you got to have a solid and outstanding college career. And I had, from where I came in, the way I came in, I felt like I should have been 10 times better. But, I wasn't prepared for structure when I got to Pierce. I mean, they used to call me problem child. Tim Munch would tell you. Tim Munch was problem child too. That was my little bro. I get kicked out of practice. Tim get kicked out of practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it was. So with me, I come into practice and coach would be like, da-da-da-da-da. And I'd be like, man, I ain't got time for this. Well, leave. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all in the calf. Come in the next day, and I'll just be ready to practice.
Yeah.
Pierre, you're acting like a dog. Yo, don't call me a dog, man. I don't know who you think you're talking to. What? Don't call me a dog. Get out. All right, I'll see y'all in the cafeteria. Game comes around. But Chad Bourne, I love him. He knew that he could rely on me when game time comes around because I was always laser focused. I had a routine. I didn't talk to nobody. I don't know he's. I'll be right there with the training tape where we used to get taped.
Yeah.
I'll sit right back there by the locker room, on the floor or on the table, in my own world, in the locker room, wherever it need to be. And when it's time to go, it's time to go. And I'm just ready to go. To go. If I was off, he knew I was off because my preparation was the same. So when I really understood overseas is when I was a senior. Coach, you didn't have Alfonso, right? Alfonso was gone by the time you got there?
No, he was there. He was there. So my freshman year.
Okay, so Fonzo, after I remember we played Southern Connecticut, and I had came off 2 back-to-back 25-point games and things like that, and it's a home game, and I'm ready, and I had like 9 points. And Fonzo's like, "Yo, P, it's okay, we won, bro." He's like, yo, it's okay, we won, bro. And I said, "Nah, man." I said, "This is fucking with my money," because I was thinking about life after basketball.
Yeah.
And then he said to me, he was just like, yo, if that's how you're going to think, your season's going to go by like this. And I was like, nah, I got to get this money. Like, stats mean something.
Yeah.
And then he was like, yo, bro, do not play the season like that. I'm telling you. He used to say that, like, I'm telling you. And I listened to him. But after winter break, that's when I was just like, you know what? I had a bad game at that tournament. We played at the post tournament, LIU Post or whatever it was. CW Post, right?
CW Post, yeah.
Whatever they were. Yeah, we played them, and I had a bad tournament. I didn't score the first game, and the next game I had 17. So I was already thinking averages, like, damn, my average dropped. And after that moment, I was like, all right, you know what? Just play, have fun with your teammates, and then let everything else take care of itself. I just said to me, I have to shoot better than 38%, 37% from the three, and I got to shoot about 48% from the field. And I did. Both of them. I was at 47 and I was at 37, like I was at 36.8, so 37%. And I did that. But I didn't get any type of all conference because I was at that 8-9. We was around that 8-9 mark. We was So I was like, damn, I couldn't get. I was a leading scorer. I was like 15 in the league in scoring. I was like, I can't even get a position on the thing. So I already knew at that moment, I was like, I had to work extra hard. So like I said, going through that process of trying to go overseas and going to workouts and going to camps and stuff, I always got really discouraged. I really did. And it's tough for us. Like I said, once again, for us, we have to have a great network and we have to have outstanding stats or great stats in order for a team overseas to look at us. And especially for me, I'm a guard. Like they always say, guards are a dime a dozen when you go overseas. So we got all these American guards fighting to get in this low-ass door to get with a team. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, Pierre, you're 6 feet. I'm gonna go with the 6'1" guy. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Or you're 6 feet. I need a 6'2" guy. And you're like, what? But my stats are better than his. My game is better than his, and I know I'm better than him. So, but it's all about who represents you. And then agents don't want to represent D2 guys.
Yeah, yeah.
I had an agent. He had a lot of G League guys. He had a lot of G League guys. He had some NBA guys. He had overseas guys. I was last on his totem pole. I got the scraps.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even have an agent. I mean, the way after I left, I knew that I was like, I'm going to play overseas. Like, I knew I could play overseas. I knew there was players in our conference that played, and I was like, if he could play, I could play, type thing. So I was like, I know I'm gonna play. So I was, I went to a showcase type thing, like overseas showcase, like 2 weeks after we graduated. And I was terrible. Like, I was horrible. And I was out of shape. It was like after you graduated. So I was like going on the binger during graduation and shit, my senior year. So I was out of shape and shit. And I was like, damn, this is terrible. So I got a subscription to, I think Eurobasket. And I just looked up I went on every country and I just looked up every league. And I just looked at the American players. So like they had high D1 players. I wouldn't go to that league. I would just skip that league. So I would just go to all leagues that have like either D2 or low D1s. And I would just send like a resume, like, telling them my stats. And I would just send that out to every team. So I send that out to like maybe like 300 teams, maybe more than that. Like, so, and
I did the same thing. It's crazy you say that. Yeah. I did the same thing. When like I said, my agent wasn't doing anything for me. I was speaking to him once every 2-3 weeks or a month. I was just like, all right, I got my resume. Whatever. Send.
Yeah, I mean,
whoever says something to me, it's cool.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of people that come out of college don't really understand, like, know that. I mean, for me, it was just like, especially if I seen people from like our conference in there, I was like, all right, I'll go to the worst team to start with because I know that they're gonna get rid of the American players. I'm sending my resume, and then that's how I got like a few offers. I mean, I literally probably sent to like 400 teams, and I only got like probably 5 offers from it. But at the same time, it's time consuming, but it's to put the work in if you know that you could do it, type of thing, and that's a lot of people.
And that's what think about.
Yeah, that's a mindset that a lot of people don't,
Yeah.
Don't get all the time.
And it's dream chasing too, man. Like it's the craziest thing, and it also, like I said before, it's the network. Like I had a situation where my college girlfriend at the time, who I was dating at Pierce, I didn't get I didn't leave when I was supposed to leave. You know what I mean? So as we all leave in August.
Yeah,
that's when we're supposed to leave. But when you start like August rolls around, you see your boys going, you see other play your mans, you're like, yeah, what's going on, yo? Am I leaving? And my ex-girl's mom was just like, yo, my daughter needs a BMW. I'm like, how am I supposed to get her a BMW? She's like, nah, he needs a black man working. I was like, black man working? I said, yo, I'm chasing my dream. If y'all don't believe in it, I'm cool. Like I really, like, I put that on. I didn't want that energy. So I kept myself away from that situation because I know that she didn't pretty much know where I was chasing, but her pops did because he was a hooper. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, follow your dream. If it don't work out, they just use your degree. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's a tireless thing. And like you just alluded to it, like, bro, I remember doing the same thing. Yeah. I never forget going into Chadbourne's office and I'm like, yo, coach, what's up? What they talking about? And he gives me a stack of letters, mail. And he's just like, here. I'm going through it. I'm like, camp, combine. I'm like, yo, where the agents at? I need the connections. What is connections you talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know too many people. I just know this one guy. And I'm like, all right, coach. Go back to my dorm. I called my OG. I was like, yo, I need. It's that time. Let's go. He put me in contact with a few people. So it's like I said, your network does a lot for you. Your circle, the people that you have around you do a lot for you. And it's always good to have information. And for me and for you, you could attest to that too. We were very green on what the overseas experience would be like. We weren't prepared for that. We didn't have anybody to be like, yo, if you overseas, like you have a lot of idle time. You're really a professional.
Yeah.
You're a professional. And I think even in my journey of coaching, like I work with the Boston Celtics. I work with the Boston Celtics and the Maine Red Claws. Like I understood what idle time means. Like, how do you spend your day? And if I'd had the information of how to spend my day as a professional athlete, I probably would have had you know what? I'd have still been playing a lot longer than I was playing for.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I would have understood what it was like to be a pro and everything like that. So now I could tell the younger guys, it's idle time. You're a professional. This is your job. So when I got to the league, I mean, another story is like with Baz. I spent the summer with Shabazz in Orlando.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So his routine, we get up in the morning, we'll go to the gym, come back home, maybe watch some film or eat. We'll take a nap, get up at 5 o'clock at afternoon. We'll go put up shots, do a little bit of work, come back home, eat, go back to bed, watch some TV, or go watch some TV, go to bed, and do the same thing all over. That is your lifestyle.
Yeah.
But the only difference is you're not going from city to city and game to game. But I understood, like, that's the lifestyle of being a professional. What are you doing with your idle time? You know what I mean? That's the most important thing. That's what I learned. And then when I was with the Celtics and I was in Maine and things, and I saw that. I understood how to occupy my time. I dove into film. I had film projects. I created teach tapes. I did everything for them. I did teach tapes with my players. Show them like, hey, man, let's work on this move today. Hey, man, I noticed you was doing this. Let's work on this set. Let's work on this shot out of this set that you were missing. It's things like that. It's like, how do you prepare yourself? You know what I mean? And how do you prepare yourself for what you're about to go through? And I think, you know, for us coming up, we didn't have anybody to say that, to teach us like, yo, you're going to be a pro. You're going to have a lot of time on your hands. Sightseeing. You know, when you're not sightseeing, try to get into the gym some more. The organization love that. Our clubs love that. When you're in the gym a little bit more longer than you're supposed to be. Like, they want to see that. Don't give them a reason to send you home. And that was my biggest fear, is getting sent home. I had a bad game one time. I played 39 minutes, 30 seconds. I asked for a break, and we ended up losing the game by 2. I had actually missed the game-winning shot or game-tying shot. And the coach is like, yo, you got to get in condition. The owner told me I got to get in better shape or I'm sending you home. The owner. And I was like, I didn't lift. All I did was swim and run on the treadmill the entire time I was there. Didn't lift no weights with. I did some calisthenics with it, but all I was doing was swimming and running on the treadmill.
Yeah, I mean,
he said that to me.
It's a lot of stories, and it's a lot. I mean, overseas it could be scary for some people. I mean, I've spoke to a lot of different people, and everyone has their own stories of, like, you know, I mean, I've seen people. I wasn't even didn't play for long, but we had Americans just coming and going. Like, people just come in, play a couple games, get kicked out. Like, they come in, like, and it's like that. It's like that, and it's players that were just going from team. They played in like 3 different teams in one season. Like, they'll just go. If somebody got hurt or kicked out, they'll just fly to the next city or the next country, and then like bounce around like that too. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah, literally a free agent. You're literally a free agent. So
to the world,
we're not prepared to understand. We're not prepared to understand that, and that's why I love in my position that I am now, because I could give those experiences and those stories. And there's more leagues out now, so everybody has an opportunity. But within that opportunity, you got to be prepared. And this kind of brings me back to my next point, what you said earlier. What is the state of basketball in Massachusetts? A lot of our players, when they leave the state of Massachusetts to go play elsewhere, they don't succeed. That's what I learned growing up. Our players that left Massachusetts to go other places did not succeed. So now it's like we didn't have a lot of people to give information like that to. Now, as one of the older heads, like, I can get that information to the other kids and be like, yo, we don't succeed when we go because of these reasons. We want to succeed not only internationally, but internationally. We don't want guys to go overseas for 1 year or half a season and get sent home, and now they can't find their way, and now they're trying to find their way back. You know, when you leave and you come back home, you ain't got nothing. That next year, it's hard as hell to get a job.
Yeah.
Because these young players are coming up too. And now, imagine now they could go get these players a lot younger.
Yeah.
Could go get a 50-year-old and be like, yo, we'll give you $50,000, $100,000 a year to come play basketball as a 15-year-old. Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah. And
you just develop within our system. You know what I mean? So they can get them if they want to. Everybody wants to be a professional. And, you know, now we're teaching them, we're giving more power to these youth to be professionals at a younger age. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like the resources now are a lot. It's a lot more. I mean, I always talk to
Yeah.
like the friends, people that I grew up with that are trainers and stuff like that. I'm like, if we had people like us back then, it would be so like things would be so much different. Like even like just the
Hmm.
working out. Like I mean, in college, high school, college, I didn't like working out. Like as far as like training, like any of that, and like just thinking back of like the people that tried to teach me. Like teach us how to work out, they weren't teaching us the right way. Like they weren't really
Hmm.
teaching us like they were, they were just doing like very generic like
Hmm.
training, not specific for basketball or even athletics, just in
Hmm.
general. So it's like if we had someone to really show us like the actual like athletic training, the difference of how our games would be and just how everything is. That's why I think it's like it's great at the same time. It's good and bad that there's a lot of trainers, because there's a lot of trainers that's on bullshit. Like at the same time, because it's a
Yeah.
business, but then there's also people that are actually helping players develop, which is how they're going to continue to get more money, and it just continues with that cycle. So and there's a lot of
And
exposure to like the game over like more than just playing in the league. There's so much more to the game.
yeah, and that's why it's like there like there's leagues everywhere. I forgot who said that to me. Yo, there's leagues everywhere, and it's true. And I see that, and I guarantee if we go on Eurobasket now, I haven't been on Eurobasket in a long time, but I guarantee if I go to Eurobasket now, I click on a country, and I guarantee there's probably 6, 7 divisions in each country.
Yeah,
So there's leagues everywhere for people to play. You hear what I'm saying? So once again, if we had people like us when we were younger, man, who knows what we'd have become? You know what I mean? And now we sounding like the old heads. I'm like, man, I wish I had that when I was
yeah,
young.
yeah, yeah,
Whenever I say, I'll be like, damn, I hate saying that, but it's legit the truth. I say that to my young players. I'm like, yo, it's legit the truth. If I
yeah.
had somebody like me when I was younger, it'd be different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I look
I
at it
mean,
and I say, you know,
I feel like I feel the same way as far as like when I like, because I say that pretty often, especially to like people our age that like grew up in that do the same type of thing. But only reason why I'm
yeah,
saying that more now is because I'm actually in that field. It's not like I feel like if I wasn't in that field,
exactly.
then I would feel like I feel away. But the fact that I'm in the field, I'm like, yeah, there's and I had some really great. I mean, there's a really like I had really great trainers that helped me on the way. Like obviously there are a lot, especially in New York. There's a lot of great trainers here, but my lane
Yeah,
is more like a strength and conditioning. There wasn't a lot of that when we were growing up because a lot of people
yeah,
weren't in it. There
exactly.
was a lot of people teaching us how to shoot and all that, but there was one people like this is how you do a squat. So like when I got the Franklin
Yeah,
Pierce, like got all these places, I was like, I don't know how to do any of this. Like I don't know the
yeah,
right way to even work out. And so it's like just little things like that I think would help too. And I think as you talked about like for New York for a little bit, the way it was when players had more success when they left New York. Like you were talking about, like
yeah,
Boston left it was the opposite. But that's why a lot of like
yeah,
top New York players started to leave before they graduated high school because the players that were actually going to the league or going to like they were leaving, they were going playing like the prep schools and all that other stuff. So like New York lost a lot of like their top players to out of just going
yeah,
out of state within like after their junior
yeah,
year, like I'm going to this prep school or whatever, and I'm going to be so like that's I
yeah,
think New York is kind of like the opposite of that because a lot of players is like their mindset is like I'm trying to get out of here, like once I get to this
yeah,
point, I'm trying to get out of here and then go from there. Type of
yeah. And that's the crazy thing, like you said, from the high school standpoint. When I was coming up, you graduate and you post grad. You hear what I'm
yeah,
saying? Or you would leave your junior year and you repeat depending on your level and what school you're at and what school was recruiting you. Now it's like they're getting the kids younger. Like I said, I mentioned a young kid, Desante. Desante has been at Worcester Academy since his freshman year, and now he's at Brewster.
Hmm.
So he did 1 year public at O'Brien, had a great season, and then he redid his freshman year at Worcester. Reclassed and did it again, and now he's one of the top point guards in the country. That's the stuff, and that's why I said nowadays we're at a great position because the academic piece is important. If I mean it sucks. Our public school basketball has gone down versus like when we were growing up, it was at its height, and then some
Yeah.
here and there people will go somewhere else or whatever. But
Hmm.
now it's like all our best players aren't even in public schools; they're
Yeah.
in these prep schools.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the AAUs changed a lot either because now we have the Nikes, we have the Adidas, we have the Under Armour circuits. So these players are playing against each other on a all year round basis. So it's like you want to go against the best. What's the sense of if you're at a public school, you better dominate that league and then go to a prep school and then show that you're as dominant or become a solid player or you're a solid player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So our guys understand the value of what prep school basketball could do for them because open gyms, how many public schools do open gyms to invite 15 colleges?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I saw Brewster had an open gym that had damn near almost every school in this region and maybe some in the West Coast and the Midwest to come watch these kids play pickup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even them girls, the girls are doing the same exact thing. You know what I mean? I remember I got a chance to help out with an event for girls years ago, and I saw Vivian Stringer and I saw Rutgers in the building. I saw Northwestern, I saw Florida State, I saw Clemson, I saw North Carolina. I've seen all these schools watching these girls work out. You know what I mean? So it's a situation where it's like there is a lot of value in what prep schools are doing.
Yeah.
And you can't take that away from anything. So
yeah, I mean, definitely. And especially being in, I mean, Northeast, especially New England, that's like the prime prep school. That's like really where it's the originator of all that.
NEPSAC is the best league in the country, high school league in the country.
Yeah.
The NEPSAC basketball. Like ask anyone.
Yeah.
Where's the best prep school ball? And they'll say if you have kids coming all the way from California, think about it, California, you're bypassing all those states to come to New England to come hoop. You ain't going to Roswell. You ain't going to Blair. You're not going to Rice. Yeah. They're going here. They're coming to the Brewsters, the Tiltons, all these schools. To come hoop. You know what I'm saying? So it says a lot about the basketball. And once again, a lot of these kids that played in these sneaker teams are in these schools now. And it's international. You know what I mean? So it's like, why wouldn't I? If I'm a college coach and I'm a top recruiter at a Power 5 school, and I'm like, man, where is Terrell playing at? Oh, he's at Brewster? Oh, okay. I'm going to go up there.
Yeah.
And then you go watch Brewster, and all of a sudden you go watch the Northfield Mount Herman game, and you see a bunch of other guys.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? And it sucks, but it's like, why would I go to a public school game when I could go to a NEPSAC game and recruit for the next 3 years?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm seeing one kid and I'm recruiting. Now I have relationship with this area.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a relationship. And prime example, like look at Donovan Mitchell. Look at what's his name? Devontae Graham. Look at what's his name? Will Barton. Who else? Georges Niang. Wayne Selden.
Yeah.
Jake Layman. Who else is in the league? Duncan Robinson. Pat Connaughton. Like, those are all like, you know what I'm saying? Those are all guys at this school in New England.
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying? So it's like, and then Nick Stauskas was a lottery pick, for God's sake.
Yeah, Nick Stauskas.
He went to where'd he go? St. Mark's, I think. I think he went to St. Mark's Academy, which is another NEPSAC school. So it's like, it's there. You know what I'm saying? There's a hub for it.
Yeah.
They're coming here. They're coming to these schools for a reason.
Yeah, no,
and
definitely.
A lot of these schools will beat all these other schools. And there's some schools in the country that don't want to play any schools from the NEPSAC.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah, because it's like the other top schools, they have their league isn't as great. I mean, they might be, they might have a great school here or there, but their league isn't. You're not playing against the top in your league as the way you are in this. So yeah, that makes sense.
You're not going to see anybody until you probably get to the States and the playoffs and things like that.
Yeah.
And even with that, it's kind of like
depending on where you're at.
It's not like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It changed my perspective on what high school basketball is and where it's going. I went to a McDuffie game and I saw what's his name, Omari Spellman play. He became an NBA draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
I watched James Bouknight, and James Bouknight is an NBA draft pick.
Yeah.
Like there was guys in that league, there was guys in that gym that I saw, like even like a Bruce Brown, NBA draft pick, Terrence Mann, NBA draft pick. Like there's a lot of guys that I went to go watch for the first time and just seeing what this basketball is like, and I'm like, damn, fast forward, and all these guys are in the league. Some guys I seen in the gym, I'm like, geez, this guy was in the gym that day?
Yeah.
So it's unique.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely a change. The change from, I mean, within the last 10 years, the last 20 years, the last 30 years of high school basketball, it's an incredible change of like how fast everything's taking off. And how much the business aspect of it has really blown up too. I mean, from all levels. I mean, you got kids like Mikey. He's signing $1 million deals now in his junior senior year of high school, like, which is so.
And
I
the
mean,
thing that I worry about is, you know how when we're coming up, we're trying to strive to become, we're trying to get financially set, right?
yeah,
Now you're giving these kids money early. Is the hunger still the same? That's what I worry about.
yeah, shoot,
But like that's what I worry about. I worry about like when these kids is getting everything right now, are they gonna be able to stay focused and
yeah,
work like they still want it? But now they're getting it such at a young age. I mean, some of the
and are
gear
they gonna be
that
able to
drip these
deal with
kids
it
be
at
having,
16?
man, exactly. The kid that I really like because he's been seeing it for a long time is how LaMelo Ball is. He looked like he's very hungry. And
Yeah,
he's had a Lamborghini, he had a Ferrari as a sophomore.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
is it something to him or is it nothing to him? Like what type of kid you gonna get? Yo, I just got the bag, I'm straight. Or you gonna get like Andrew Wiggins' big knock is when he got paid, he didn't care.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't hungry anymore. So that's what I worry about when we're talking like NILs. We're talking about these type of things. Because are they gonna be able to stay focused and remain humble and stick to the plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case, and it's gonna be like that. It depends on the person. Like, there's gonna be people that's gonna take the bag and not, and not be focused. But at the same time, I think it's. I mean, a person like Mikey, I think he's very focused on getting to the league and being that guy. So I think that a person like
Yeah.
him, this is just gonna be another step forward. And I think it's like for the only thing would be like, how can you handle, are these kids going to be able to handle this much money at 15, 16, not knowing the circle that they have around them? That could be something too. But at the same time, I'd rather them have the money than not have it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
because it's like,
Like you've got a God given ability for a reason.
yeah. And it's like people are making money off of you, especially these days with the social media and all that. Like a kid like Mikey has millions of followers. Like that's equals, that comes out to some kind of money somehow. So it's like you might as well be able to get paid for it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all right,
And
so
like they said, don't ask, don't tell.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's how. Yeah, well, exactly. So we're gonna wrap it up now. So I always like to end it up. So I just want to know real quick. So your favorite team? Well, I think I already know the answer, but favorite team, favorite player growing up, and a couple of your favorite players right now.
Favorite team, obviously, gotta say Boston Celtics is my favorite team. All time. What else? You said favorite team now?
No, favorite player growing up, and then your favorite players right now.
Favorite player growing up would be Scottie Pippen and Kobe Bryant. And obviously,
Okay.
like as am I playing Paul Pierce, I'd say, but my all-time favorite is Kobe Bryant. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Players right now that I'm like, whew, man, Ja Morant,
Yeah, John Morant's going
CJ
on.
McCullough,
Okay.
CJ McCullough. My guys, gotta say my guys, Bruce, Terrence. I love watching them. I love watching them play because those are kids that I've watched. Like I was mentioning, like the whole going to the prep school games and things like that. But they just the energy and the dog that they have, I love it. Like
Yeah.
I love that. People that buy into a role. One thing they say in the NBA is like be a star in your role. Those two guys are becoming stars in their role. So I put them in like a special, but like I said, CJ, definitely Dame, definitely Ja.
Yeah.
KD's like KD to me. And
Yeah.
when
KD's
Kai
almost
comes
like
back,
thick
Kai could be
now.
up there too. Yeah.
Yeah, KD's like
Yeah.
almost like we're like Bron and all those where like you don't even count them anymore. Like
Yeah.
yeah, just KD.
Yeah. I like watching Luka. You know who I really like? Bogdanovich from Atlanta. Like I've
Yeah, yeah,
watched him a lot. One of my guys that I work with, Cole Swatter from Syracuse. When we watch film, we watch him, we watch Bogdanovich. I feel like he has the ability to do some of the things he does. So I try to pay attention a lot more because there's certain things in his game that I feel like, Cole's going to be able to implement into his game. So I like him. I like watching him play as well. Jaylen Brown, obviously Marcus Smart. There's a lot of guys. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown. I like JT's development, and my number one right now, my man Lonzo Ball.
Yeah. Now
I just love this progression of his development.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think he's progressed. Yeah. I mean, I like LaMelo too. I honestly used to hate on LaMelo back in the day. Like, I don't think he's gonna be that good. But I love his game. Like, I don't know. I just love that he's a free spirit, but at the same time, he still gets after it though. Like, I just like what he brings to that team.
He just like I said, there's so many guys that LaMelo's definitely in that category of people that I like to watch. LaMelo plays the way I wish Lonzo would play. That's it. And as a younger brother, I'm like, he's going to be the best one because he's got to look up to those two guys. And he's been playing varsity since he was in 8th, 9th grade, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you scared of? It's not like they don't tell him to play, don't tell him to play up in his division so he could be better. He's been playing up.
Yeah.
So it's like the development that he made from his junior to senior year, for me, I'm like, he should have easily been the number one pick. Easily been the number one pick.
I mean, the thing with him too is like, I mean, even though he played in Lithuania, when he was 16, he's playing against people 26, 30, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's playing against grown-ups, like, at 16 years old. So it's like, he's always been in that situation. Even in Australia, I mean, he was like one of the youngest players in the league at that point. So,
and you know what's crazy you say that, because think about it, that's the Baisley effect.
Yeah.
Like RJ Hampton went overseas, got experience, and he was a top 10 pick, top 15 pick, whatever it was. Yeah. And LaMelo did the same thing. He was going to be a top 5 pick regardless, but that solidified as a pick.
I was just talking to someone. I was like, like Brandon Jennings and Baisley, like those guys. They really
those trailblazers, man.
Yeah, started this whole thing, like, and like all of like the guys like Jalen Green, who just started, he was the first one to do the G League. Like, that's gonna be like 10 years from now, you're gonna be like, damn, like, it's gonna be like 10 players in the draft from that, and you're gonna be like, damn, this is where it started. Like, I feel like all that's gonna grow,
and that's how it should be. It should be just like that.
Yeah,
it should be like that, and guys should understand their value, and guys should understand like, this is where we need to be, and this is where we're going to earn our money and things like that. So, once again, that Baisley effect, man, it's real.
Yeah.
It's really real.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to wrap it up. That was a great conversation. I didn't realize we this part in it. So Pierre, let the people know where they can find you. Go to any of your IG, social media.
Yeah, social media, ATF Athletics. Is our page, my private page, my page is the project, is the 2_ project _. We got some good things coming up, some game changing things and new adventures, new endeavors coming up. So, come check us out on that.
Yes, sir. So make sure you check them out. Check me out at ITA Movement, itamovement.com. I have all like the fitness stuff we do in the workouts. We have the online fitness. Check us out, itamovement.com. And like that, we out here. Thank you for joining for another episode of Hoopla.